This is Harry Brown. I hope you'll enjoy watching the repeat broadcast of this program, one of the highlights from the past season. Because it's a repeat, I'm afraid we can't take your phone calls this time round. If you'd like a copy of our summer rerun schedule, just write to us at TV Ontario, Box 200, Station Q, Toronto, and we'll send you one. I'll repeat the address at the end of the program. And now, enjoy the show. Good evening, welcome to Speaking Out. I'm Harry Brown. Tonight, once again, I have the pleasure of welcoming back a special guest, one that lots of you have asked for us to have back again. Our guest, of course, is Dr. Linus Pauling, two-time Nobel Prize winner, once for chemistry, once for peace. Perhaps best known for his work and research into vitamin C. Good evening, Dr. Pauling. Nice to have you with us.
Thank you.
I would be embarrassed if, to tell you how many people and how many letters and how many calls we've had urging upon us the desirability of having you with us, and we're just so pleased that you could make it. We're going to talk about the latest research findings about vitamin C, about its use as a kind of preventive health measure or as a means of treating diseases, and the ways in which vitamin C seems to help our immune systems work better. We'll also look at the attitudes of many people in the medical world towards vitamin C, some of them negative. We'll find out why they're skeptical, perhaps, and whether or not this is changing. You've been working on vitamin C research for a long time. Certainly no mystery but the fact that you support and advocate its use. But in all of the work and all of the words that you've said and written, have you ever suggested that vitamin C is in some way a miracle cure?
I don't use the word cure for it. I don't say that it's a miracle drug. What I do say is that the proper intake of vitamin C will improve the health of essentially every person, give him greater resistance to disease, and serve as a valuable adjunct in the treatment of essentially every disease. It works, as you mentioned, by bolstering up the body's natural defenses. The immune system in its various aspects is potentiated by a high intake, the optimum intake of vitamin C.
Now, doctors surely are being trained these days to consider nutrition, nutritional causes, or poor nutrition as a cause for chronic or other health problems, aren't they?
There's more and more recognition among the medical authorities and the scientific authorities that it is possible to do a great deal by improving the nutrition. You know, I'm a chemist, essentially, interested in other fields of science, too. I'm glad that chemists can claim much of the responsibility, chemists working with biologists and doctors, for our present knowledge about vitamins, vitamin C, and other vitamins. Now, we know how to synthesize them. Chemists learned their structure, learned how to synthesize them so that you can get vitamins very cheaply and take them in amounts much larger than you can get just by eating high vitamin foods. Mm-hmm. I've been working for 20 years trying to find the optimum intakes of these various vitamins. I'm sure that essentially every person can improve his health by taking vitamin supplements, not the ordinary vitamin mineral supplement, but super supplements in the amounts that I recommend.
It seems to me, in a way, it was a great pity that the British Navy and others recognized early on that scurvy came about as a result of a lack of vitamin C in the diet, that the person needed fresh fruits and vegetables, because it seems to me that what we've gotten out of that, and only out of, the only thing we've gotten out of it is a realization that 1 or 2 oranges a day will keep us from getting scurvy. I don't know how long it's been since a doctor in general practice in this city, or in this province for that matter, has ever had someone come into his office or her office with scurvy.
Well, it may have happened and not been recognized. This has happened in California that a patient would come back suffering from internal bleeding and other problems year after year and be operated on, when all it was the matter was that the person hadn't been taking enough vitamin C, wasn't eating the foods that contain the vitamin C that is needed to prevent scurvy. But of course, I'm not so much interested in the amount of vitamin C that will keep me from dying of scurvy as the question of how much will put me in the best of health. And this is a question that was ignored for many years.
How much vitamin C and other vitamins, as you suggest, will keep me from, not cure me of cancer or diabetes or heart condition or whatever else, but keep me from getting it in the first place.
Well, for this prophylactic purpose, to cut down the incidence of these various diseases, I think the amounts of these vitamins that I take, that's the reason I'm taking them, are the best. Yeah. And I take 18,000 milligrams of vitamin C a day. That would be, let's see, I'm sure I always carry 1 gram tablets, 18 of these, except I take much of my vitamin C as pure crystalline powder dissolved in orange juice or water. That's 300 times the present RDA. And if this committee of the National Academy of Sciences in Washington has its way, it would be 600 times. They're considering, or 450 times. They've recommended cutting from 60 milligrams a day to 40 for men and 30 for women.
Dr. Pauling, before we all end up in jail, and I don't want that to happen to me any more than I want that, or to you any more than to me, but there is a suggestion, and I get this from some people who are interested in health and so on. Health freedom is a myth, and they go on to write about. In this country, the amount of the drug limit for vitamin C is 150 milligrams per day, which is equivalent to eating 3 oranges. Now, if you eat 2 oranges, you're eating food, but if you eat 3, you're on drugs. And I don't want you admitting to everybody who watches this program tonight that you're breaking the law by eating 18 grams of vitamin C. Good heavens, that's a heinous crime, Dr. Pauling.
You see, you have to have vitamin C in your body. It isn't a drug. It's a natural substance that's required for life. And this question, how much do you need to be in the best of health, is a very important question. You know, that committee, the Food and Nutrition Board of the National Academy of Sciences, with different membership, has been operating for 40 years. And during this 40 years, they've been asking just one question: how much vitamin C will keep people, most people in ordinary health, from dying of scurvy? They don't ask the question, how much do you need how much do you need to keep from developing cancer? How much do you need to keep from developing heart disease?
Okay.
That's the question that I have been asking and trying to answer.
Well, it's the research that has to go into that, and these questions, which we'd like to get to in a moment, our viewers will want to be involved too. And as those of you who watch this program regularly will know, Speaking Out is a phone-in program, and we'd like to have your opinions and questions for Dr. Pauling. Right now it's time for our weekly telephone vote. I'll give you some phone numbers. I hope you'll use them. You'll hear a beep tone. That means your vote's been recorded. You can hang up and come back here and join us. Tonight our telephone statement is: more cancer research money should be spent on prevention and nutrition research. More cancer research money should be spent on prevention and nutrition research. If you agree with the statement, call 870-9173. If you disagree, call 870-9174, area code 416 in each case. Last week, my guest was Dr. Hans Küng, the theologian and a critic of present-day policies within the Roman Catholic Church. We asked, does Pope John Paul II have too much power in today's Roman Catholic Church? And our final results showed that 1,847 of you said yes to the question, and 1,746 of you said no. And in this connection, by the way, I have a letter from a scholar at Victoria College, for which I'm grateful. He says, "Dear Sirs," Speaking Out, TV Ontario and so on, "Dear Sirs, Carol Voitiwa. Shame on you, Harry Brown. Sincerely, Dr. Sommer. Thank you, sir, for the correct pronunciation of the Pope's name while he was a cardinal in Poland, Karol Wojtyła. And I'll hope I'll never have that problem again, but I certainly booted it around last week. This week again, our telephone statement is more cancer research money should be spent on prevention and nutrition research. If you agree, call 870-9173. If you disagree, call 870-9174. I'll repeat the telephone votes and the phone numbers, and we'll give you the results at the end of the program. And the area code, by the way, before I forget it, in this area is 416. Later on, I'll give you a number to use so you can speak directly with Dr. Pauling. Now, would you comment on the percentage, the ratio, the amount of money that the big spenders in medical research allow for? The amount spent by people like the U.S. Cancer Society, the National Institute of Health, and so on non-chemical, non-high-tech areas, such as vitamins.
Well, it's very small. I think the last that I heard, after the amount had been increased from practically zero, is that about 0.4%, 1/250th of the money that is being spent by the National Cancer Institute on cancer research is now allocated to nutritional research and vitamins as prophylactic and therapeutic measures.
Yes. We have had some notice of the Mayo Clinic study. A distinguished and eminent, internationally recognized Institute of Medical Science, Medical Research, did a study which purports to disprove the efficacy of vitamin C and claims to have used the methods of the Pauling Institute.
That's right. That's what they claim. I have said that this paper, which was published the 17th of January of this year, 1985, in the New England Journal of Medicine, is written in a fraudulent way, that it is a fraud.
That's pretty strong language.
Yes, but I can support it. Here we have Dr. Cameron, my associate now in California,
yes,
who was for many years chief surgeon of the hospital in Scotland, where he gave vitamin C in a high dose to patients with untreatable advanced cancer and compared them with similar patients, same kind of cancer, same stage in their disease, who did not receive the vitamin C. There's no doubt. I was there every few months in Scotland to see him and the patients. There's no doubt that these patients benefited greatly. And Dr. Morishige in Fukuoka, Japan, has made the same observation. They live longer, they feel much better while they are alive, and some of them, these terminal cancer patients, have continued to live year after year, taking 10 grams or 20 or 30 or more grams of vitamin C per day. The Mayo Clinic, and they took it every day till the end of their lives or till the present time. We had discovered that there's a rebound effect, and in our book, Cancer and Vitamin C, Dr. Cameron and I say you mustn't stop the vitamin C, high-dose vitamin C, even for a single day. We didn't know just how serious a matter that was. The Mayo Clinic people didn't follow Dr. Cameron's protocol. They gave high-dose vitamin C, only 7.5 grams a day, to 50 patients for 2.5 months, a median time of 2.5 months, and then stopped it. None of their patients died while they were getting the vitamin C. They died 3 times as rapidly as the controls after the vitamin C was stopped.
Because of this rebound, partly?
That's right.
Yes.
My associate, Dr. Herman, and I have written a paper analyzing the Mayo Clinic data and saying, here we have a moderately carefully conducted experiment that shows that this rebound effect is serious and that you mustn't stop the vitamin C. So in this paper, a reader of this paper would get the impression that they had followed Dr. Cameron's regimen.
The journal was the New England Journal of Medicine, which, like the Mayo Clinic, is a distinguished paper and regarded with great respect.
That's right. Perhaps the best medical journal in the world, along with the Lancet, the British medical journal. I've tried to find out whether the editor knew that they hadn't followed Cameron's protocol. He didn't. He told me that he didn't know that. I tried to find out whether the specialists who advised him to publish the paper knew, and the editor won't give me that information. He won't tell me who these referees were, and I'm not able to find out whether they read the paper carefully. Well, they wouldn't tell. It was difficult to tell from reading the paper. The paper, for example, in the paper there's a sentence, after 2 years, the patients receiving vitamin C were dying at a more rapid rate than those receiving placebo. Well, that's a straightforward statement, but it's absolutely false. They hadn't received any vitamin C for 1 year and 3/4 because it was stopped. They weren't patients receiving vitamin C. And there are several sentences like that that seem to me to suggest that this paper was written in a misleading, well, it's written in a misleading way. I think deliberately misleading.
That's tragic, because it puts the whole concept of scientific research and the methodology and the reporting of the results into very serious questions. Is the New England Journal going to publish your paper and give it equal space with the Mayo papers?
Well, they've had our paper for 8 months, and another paper by Dr. Cameron about more recent patients for 9 months without making a decision. But worse than that, usually when a paper is published, often some letters are written to the editor commenting on it and sometimes criticizing it. In the New England Journal of Medicine, these are published about 3 or 4 months after the paper. The New England Journal of Medicine has received a letter from me, 2 letters in fact, and letters from a good number, I don't know just how many, other scientists and physicians about the Mayo Clinic study. 9 months have gone by, and none of these letters has been published. They've suppressed this criticism of the Mayo Clinic study.
I suppose in another program we might discuss freedom of the press and freedom of speech and so on. Let's get on to something else here, because I think you've dealt with that very well, and I thank you for that, because a great many of our viewers had raised the question in mail to us and in phone calls to us about what happened, because, of course, the Journal of Medicine from New England is available here as it is anywhere else, and people read and they become concerned.
Yes, I'd like to say, the Mayo Clinic is very respected. I had information from a relative of a patient who had been getting vitamin C at a hospital that the doctor had stopped the vitamin C because of the Mayo Clinic paper. And I got in touch with the hospital and found that in fact had been done, but that they were then reinvestigating, looking into the matter again. I feel very concerned. I'm sure every cancer patient would benefit, not have his life saved or her life saved necessarily, but possibly, but would benefit by taking high-dose vitamin C as an adjunct to appropriate conventional therapy. That's some conventional therapy has great value, and if it is appropriate for that patient, I say it should be taken. But the vitamin C must be taken too. And I think it's a tragedy that there should be this setback for cancer patients to the recognition of the value of vitamin C for them.
Thank you. Why, even when authorities, and in the broadest sense, push the concept of vitamin C, and when they do, it's almost always in the form of orange juice and hardly ever in any other form. Is there a reason for that?
Well, the vitamin C is the same
Yes.
Same substance, whether you get it in orange juice or in a tablet.
Yeah.
But of course, when I take this, I get this one pill. I get the equivalent of 11 6-ounce glasses of orange juice. Or you use a metric system of 180 milliliter glasses of orange juice. And my 18 grams a day is the equivalent of 180 milliliter glasses of orange juice. So I can't get the amount of vitamin C that I consider to be optimum just by drinking orange juice. But the question is, why does the committee, the Food and Drug, the Food and Nutrition Board that makes recommendations about the RDA, why do they recommend at the present time 60 milligrams a day for an adult? Well, the answer to that question is in the question that they are answering. That is, the question they are answering, and they state this quite definitely, is this: how much do you need to keep from developing symptoms of scurvy and perhaps dying of scurvy? And they say the amount, the RDA is the amount that will keep you from dying of scurvy. Almost everyone in ordinary health is kept from showing signs of, obvious signs of scurvy, such as periodontal disease, teeth falling out, and...
See, that's the reason why I brought the business up in the beginning. It's almost a sadness to us in the hundreds of years after the discoveries were made in the British Navy about it, that we focus on scurvy, and we seem to have some kind of tunnel vision when it comes to the use of vitamin C, that scurvy is there and vitamin C is here and nothing else. We don't seem to be able to think in terms of the broader thing. Now, I wonder though, you talk about taking 18,000 units, and they're recommending we take 60 units, in this case, milligrams. Okay. Is it possible, though, that somebody can go on? I mean, we're talking about self-dosing here. Could you take too much of that stuff?
Well, there's no toxic dose known for vitamin C. There are no serious side effects that you need to worry about. I know one patient who, on his own, a cancer patient, who was told that he would be dead in a few months with metastatic bone cancer, who discovered 9 years ago that he could prevent the pain of the growing bone cancer by taking 130 grams of vitamin C a day. He's a chemist, works in San Jose, near where I am, and for 9 years now he has taken 130 grams of
7 times what you're taking. Almost.
Yes,
yeah, okay.
Yes, that's right.
And for how long? I'm sorry?
9 years.
This is for the cancer that was going to kill him 8 years ago.
That's right, 9 years ago. And he developed the cancer 13 years ago. 9 years ago, it returned as metastatic cancer.
Now, you said there were no side effects.
No.
However, if somebody starts taking the 18 that you're taking now, and takes them every day, and then in 6 months tires of it or forgets, is there danger?
Well,
because you talked about that earlier.
Right.
I'd like
we think there is some danger. We haven't known how much it was until a Mayo Clinic study was carried out, which indicates that it is a real danger for cancer patients. So we say that if you want to stop high-dose vitamin C, don't stop suddenly, but taper off over a period of a couple of weeks, say. But better still, don't stop. Or at any rate, don't go down to 0 supplementary vitamin C. If you need to cut back, if it causes too much bowel distress.
Diarrhea?
It isn't really diarrhea.
Okay.
It's something
Taper off,
similar.
in other words. The effects are the same.
Looseness of the bowels caused by the laxative effect. If that is too much of a nuisance to you, cut down on your intake somewhat, but don't go down to 0.
Okay. Now, just hang on for a second, because we've got a lot of people who want to talk to you, and I haven't given you the phone number yet, and I want to do that now. Put questions to Dr. Pauling, by all means. The number to call is 482-5600, and we do accept your collect calls. If you're calling long distance, the area code here is 416. If you're calling long distance collect, please place the call through an operator. Area code 416-482-5600. 482-5600, and it's the same number for everybody. Okay, let's talk about certain of the other areas. What about people who are being treated for other conditions? For example, a diabetic who's getting insulin. Is there something that that person should know before he or she considers involving himself with vitamin C?
Well, a patient who is taking insulin should know that vitamin C replaces some of the insulin. And the amount, there's only been one very small study carried out in a patient for whom 1 gram of vitamin C was equivalent to 2 units of insulin. He had to cut his insulin by 2 units for every gram of vitamin C he took. What a patient with diabetes should know also is that a diabetologist, distinguished one in England, has pointed out that taking about 2 grams of vitamin C a day prevents the retinopathy that leads to blindness of many of these. And of course, vitamin E is also, along with vitamin C, very valuable in preventing peripheral occlusive arterial disease, which for diabetics often leads to gangrene and
yes, and
amputation.
surgery. And yes,
So diabetics, everyone, I think, can be in much better health by taking vitamin C, but diabetics especially should be on a high intake, and at the same time, if they are getting insulin, as they increase their intake, they must have their need for insulin checked.
So it's not a substitute for insulin, just that you might need less insulin when you take the vitamin C.
So far as we know now, if you are taking only, let's say, 30 units of insulin,
yes.
15 grams a day of vitamin C might permit you to go down to 0.
I see.
That involves a little extrapolation because we haven't been able to study any of these patients.
Dr. Pauling, at the beginning when we talked about what vitamins do, you made a remark about it invigorates or enables our immune system to do the job for which it was constructed. Acquired immune deficiency syndrome, AIDS. Any research going on with vitamin C and AIDS?
Very little. There's interest in it in our institute, my associate Dr. Ewan Cameron, right now, in collaboration with physicians in the medical school of the University of California in San Francisco, is just beginning some studies. In fact, he's trying to raise the money to carry them out, applying for funds to carry out these studies. Another associate of ours, Dr. Cathcart, has been checking on patients with AIDS in San Francisco who on their own have been ingesting large amounts of vitamin C. And Dr. Cameron has checked on some patients with Kaposi's sarcoma, which is often a result of AIDS, to check the reports that their physicians are making that the vitamin C has controlled the Kaposi's sarcoma. But this is all in its preliminary stages, mainly because of the difficulty in getting the granting agencies, such as the National Cancer Institute or the AIDS foundations, to give money for the study of vitamin C in this respect.
Well, I'm sure. Well,
there are good reasons, you know. Vitamin C is known to inactivate viruses. Every virus that has been tested is inactivated by it, and we know because of research done in France and the United States that a virus is involved in AIDS, is probably responsible for it. And vitamin C potentiates the immune system, and as you mentioned, AIDS, in one of the manifestations is a deficient functioning of the immune system. So there's every reason to expect that vitamin C would have value for AIDS patients. We just need to get money. To do a good clinical investigation takes quite a lot of money.
Well, we certainly don't urge upon people who have AIDS now or who feel that in the future they might have to rush out and start treating themselves, but there's a glimmer of hope.
Oh, I recommend that
You do?
they go. Well, I recommend that everybody take high-dose vitamin C.
Okay. We have a lot of people who want to talk to Dr. Linus Pauling tonight. We're not surprised about that. Let's take the first of these calls now. Hello, where are you calling from, please?
Hello?
Yes, you're on the air. Where are you calling from?
Yeah, I'm calling from London, Ontario.
Go ahead.
My name is Len. How are you, Mr. Brown?
Very well. Dr. Pauling's here.
I'm very well, too.
He's better than I am, I'll tell you. Anyway, go ahead.
It's certainly a thrill to be talking with you, Dr. Pauling. I've been following your research ever since I was in university back in the mid-50s. And being a chemist, as you are, I'm extremely thrilled that you've been promoting vitamin C, and I think on your advice, I myself have used high doses of vitamin C with, I think, very good results in my own personal life. Now, I have a question.
Yes.
Are there any physiological differences in activity of vitamin C from natural sources versus synthetically produced vitamin C?
No, vitamin C, well, you as a chemist know how simple a substance vitamin C is. Simple molecule with a small number of atoms in it. Vitamin C is the same no matter where you get it. The ion, ascorbate ion of L-ascorbic acid, or sodium ascorbate. So I recommend, as with other vitamins too, buying the cheapest per gram or per milligram or per international units.
That was the advice you gave us last time. Buy the most vitamin C for the least money and make it as simple as that. But I had a letter about this too because, well, I mentioned to you earlier about the business of certain vitamins, and vitamin C is the only exception apparently. Certain of the other vitamins have synergists that go along with them and work more effectively with the synergists, but that doesn't apply to vitamin C. You mentioned that some people might have bowel upset.
Yes.
Now, that would be with sodium, with ascorbic acid, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Could I take another form of vitamin C, getting that same ion,
Well, you might,
and avoid, and in order to take the same amount, you see?
you might take the same amount in the form of sodium ascorbate.
Ascorbate.
Might be. Or sometimes I recommend taking timed release tablets. They cost more, but it may be worthwhile for some people to take the timed release.
Oh, the time capsules. I haven't seen those.
Yes. Oh, the timed release capsules. Yes, they're available. 50% more expensive than ordinary tablets, perhaps. I take perhaps 12 grams of vitamin C before breakfast the first thing in the morning to have a laxative effect. And I think this is very valuable. You know, this produces the same results that a high-fiber diet produces, which is to get rid of the waste materials more rapidly, and in the case of a high-fiber diet, to dilute them so that the carcinogenic substances that Robert Bruce, the director of the Toronto branch of the Ludwig Cancer Research Institute, reported several years ago. He also reported that vitamin C destroys these mutagenic substances, presumably carcinogenic. So vitamin C has much value in preventing cancer of the lower bowel because of that. Both that it moves the material along faster and that it destroys these mutagens.
12 units every morning for breakfast. I'll get back to that. Let's take another call. Hello, where are you calling from, please?
From Toronto?
From Toronto, yes, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yes, my name is Gerald Green. I'm a Toronto medical doctor.
Jerry
using
Green?
vitamin C.
Jerry Green?
Yes, that's right. Gerald Green, Jerry Green, the same
Nice
one.
to have you with us, Dr. Green.
Oh, well, thank you. And I've been using vitamin C and other natural therapies for patients with cancer, arthritis, inflammation, and often with quite astounding results, especially in people who have not responded to ordinary cover-up medicine. And I'd just like to thank you, Dr. Pauling, to begin with, for your work. Actually, your book, Vitamin C and the Common Cold, was one of the first books I read in this area when I was just finishing medical school here at the University of Toronto, and it really changed my whole thinking in terms of the new medicine, the orthomolecular medicine that you talk about, and I just would like to applaud your monumental work in this area.
Well, thank you, Dr. Green. Do you think I can answer a question for you?
Yeah, yes, I do have a question for you. I'd just like to ask you what you think can be done, in addition to the tremendous work you've been doing, what could be done by other people to hasten the change in medicine to the direction of orthomolecular medicine so that more patients can benefit from this much saner approach to medicine rather than just covering up symptoms as the older style medicine seems to do.
Well, one advantage of orthomolecular medicine, of high intake of vitamins, is that it works to prevent disease, not just to treat disease. I'm glad that there are a good number of orthomolecular physicians now, and I'm sure that the other physicians, some of whom are rather antagonistic for some reason I don't understand, are beginning to get the message that they can do a better job of helping people to be in good health and of controlling disease if they pay attention to the value of supplementary vitamins in the optimum amounts and to nutrition generally.
Dr. Green is certainly well known in this community and to a great many people a kind of folk hero. I hope he doesn't mind my saying this. This is, let me assure you, totally unrehearsed, but a great many people have a great deal of respect for this man, and
well,
I'm delighted that he got through.
That's really fine. You know, my colleague, my associate, Dr. Cathcart, Robert F. Cathcart, reported on 11,000 patients with severe viral diseases that he had treated, almost all of them just with high-dose vitamin C. Some of them as much as 200 grams a day for some days.
There's a condition that I'm curious about. An old friend of mine, he's no longer with us, had gout. And he suffered incredibly. I mean, his feet were, well, you know the story about gout, but is vitamin C at all efficacious in this area?
I don't know of any study that has been made of it. One thing that I say is that anyone who has a tendency to gout or pseudo-gout, which is a similar disease, should take very large quantities of water. The chance of crystallizing
The uric acid. And so
uric acid is decreased by keeping your intake of water high.
Okay, the other is the pregnant woman who has been taking vitamin C in larger than normal, larger than that 60 milligrams a day amount. Okay, she's pregnant, she has the baby, and then decides not to nurse for whatever reason. Should the baby be somehow treated or given extra vitamin C at that stage in his life?
You know, human milk has vitamin C in it, good amounts. A woman will rob herself of her vitamin C in order to put it into the milk. Cow's milk doesn't have any because the calf makes its own. The cow doesn't need to secrete the vitamin C. All baby foods are supposed to contain vitamin C. If a woman has been taking a large amount of vitamin C during pregnancy, might be a good idea for additional vitamin C to be given to the infant, added to the infant formula. And,
let's take another call. Hello, where are you calling from, please?
Toronto.
You're on the air from Toronto. Go ahead.
Hello, Harry and Dr. Pulling. I was interested to know if any research has been done on disease like multiple sclerosis that might be a neurovirus, and if so, what sort of quantities involved?
Well, I have only some fragments of information about diseases such as multiple sclerosis. Certain patients have written saying that they seem to have a remission when they went on to high-dose vitamin C. And by high dose, this means 10 grams or 20 grams a day, except that for cancer patients, real cancer patients, I think they should take vitamin C up to the bowel tolerance limit, as much as they can take by mouth without having too much trouble because of the looseness of the bowels. So I think vitamin C and other vitamins too, in considerably larger amounts than RDAs, are needed to improve the body's natural resistance to disease, just to make us healthier. And this can be helpful with almost every disease.
One of the problems that some of our viewers have expressed is that when you go to a pharmacy and make inquiries about vitamin C, there's not much information available. I mean, the jars of vitamin C might be there on the shelf, and you can buy however much you want or can afford, but there's not much in the way of information on labels or in the accompanying literature with a bottle of this material to give you any clue as to what it might be useful for. Not even does it say that vitamin C is useful in disposing of vitamin C deficiency, you know. I mean, not even that much.
Well, in the United States, it's against the law to make a claim of therapeutic value of vitamins, against the law. People have gone to jail for having a book similar to this book on sale next to the vitamin bottles.
But you know what?
For sale.
If you tune in the telly almost any night, not on this channel and certainly not on this program, you will see people. We'll be back after these messages, and the message will be that if you take this bottle of medicine, your headache will go faster than if you take this bottle of medicine. It's okay to do that.
Yes, yes.
But it's not okay to say vitamin C will prevent you from getting scurvy, even that much. You know?
Well, there's a difference between improving your health with vitamin C and optimum intakes of other vitamins and taking one of these powerful drugs that have specific action against some condition and that work in essentially every person that has that disease. There's a disadvantage to the drugs, that they are almost without exception poisonous, and they are administered in amounts that are close to the lethal level that would kill a person. So it's dangerous to take the drugs, but it's much easier to say, here we have a specific drug for your condition. And with the vitamins, the most we can say is we can improve your health if you take these vitamins. And it may mean that you can control a disease.
An apple a day keeps the doctor away might be grounds for getting us all in jail. I don't know, but there we go again. Let's take another call. Hello, where are you calling from, please?
I'm calling from Toronto.
You're on the air.
Okay. As everyone else who's previously called, I'd like to say how grateful we are to Dr. Pauling for his work. My specific concern has to do with environmental pollutants, and specifically the material called dioxin. And I wonder if Dr. Pauling is aware of any research in the area of on the effects of vitamin C on dioxin in human tissues, anyway.
I don't remember whether I know about the effect of vitamin C on dioxin. Dr. Cameron and I made a survey of the detoxifying powers of vitamin C. We didn't do this ourselves, just one study that Dr. Cameron carried out. But we searched the literature and found 100 substances, toxic substances, that are detoxified by vitamin C in the human body. So they are eliminated in the urine, no longer are a danger. It may be that vitamin C detoxifies dioxin, but I don't have a definite memory.
Is there literature on this available from the Linus Pauling Institute in Palo Alto?
Yes, we were asked to write a paper for cancer research, and in that paper we have a summary of the detoxifying effects of vitamin C for various toxic substances.
Okay, then we're going to give our viewers the address to the Linus Pauling Institute in Palo Alto, California, and so you might want to get a pencil and some paper and so on for that occasion, which will be coming up in a moment or so. Let's take another call now. Hello, where are you calling from, please?
I'm calling from Toronto.
You're on the air. Go ahead.
Yes, I just want to say how much I admire Dr. Pauling's work, and I think it's wonderful that you have him on. I just want to ask Dr. Pauling if he has heard anything recently about vitamin C causing kidney damage.
Well, the Only kidney damage that I know about that has been talked about is formation of kidney stones. This is a rather complicated question. Doctors know, investigators have found out that with common kidney stones, you can help prevent their formation by taking any substance that acidifies the urine, that makes the urine more acid. And ascorbic acid, vitamin C in the form of ascorbic acid, does that. So it's a good thing if you have a tendency to form calcium phosphate stones to take ascorbic acid. On the other hand, rather uncommon forms of kidney stones are favored by having an acidic urine, so you should have an alkaline urine. You can achieve that by taking vitamin C as sodium ascorbate. There's also some controversy about oxalate stones, with some authorities, some writers saying that they found that people who take high-dose vitamin C have more oxalate in their urine than when they take a low dose. And others reporting that this effect didn't show up in the subjects that they studied. Altogether, I don't think there's anything to the suggestion that vitamin C is harmful to the kidneys. I think it's beneficial. It helps control infections of the urinary tract as a whole, which is pretty valuable. And the physicians who treat paraplegics usually have the paraplegics take 4 grams of vitamin C per day to prevent infections of the urinary tract. This is especially important for women who have a greater tendency to get infections, cystitis, infections of the bladder. Someone sent me a clipping in which a physician on the east coast of the United States was reported to have said that vitamin C causes damage to the liver. That was new to me, so I wrote to the professor in the medical school and asked him to give me the references. The answer I got back was simple. He said, well, that was just a mistake.
Some mistake. I've promised you the address. Well, if you have that pencil and paper, here it is. The Linus Pauling Institute, 440 Page Mill Road. P-A-G-E-M-I-L-O, Page Mill Road, Palo Alto, California. And the zip code is 94306, USA. Just so you'll separate it out from any other countries in North America. Or you can call our Audience Relations Department for the address, but do that 9 o'clock in the morning. Linus Pauling Institute, 440 Page Mill Road, Palo Alto, California. Nice and close to, what's the university?
Stanford University.
Of course, yes, Stanford, where your name is very well known, and I think props in Palo Alto generally. Let's take another call. Hello, where are you calling from, please?
Hello?
Yes, you're on the air.
Am I on the air?
Mm-hmm.
You're on too?
Yep.
I was wondering whether Dr. Pauling has not found that the tolerance level of women in their intake of orange juice is less than the tolerance level in men. For instance, the effect on the duodenum. I find myself I have to be awfully careful about taking orange juice, and I have found this in other women.
I don't have any information. I think you're more of an authority on that than I am.
Vitamin C, though, just the way you take it, doesn't have any effect on the duodenum, does it?
Not that I know of, but most people, many people at any rate, report that it causes some abdominal distress in the way of production of intestinal gas. Well, this isn't much of a problem. It's hydrogen and methane, yes. And it's not really much of a problem.
Okay, let's take another call. Hello, where are you calling from, please?
Yes, I'm calling from Toronto.
And you're on the air.
I would like to ask you, Dr. Pauling, if you could possibly tell us what other vitamins you could recommend taking along with vitamin C to ensure your continued good health, especially for people that have high cholesterol?
Fine. Well, now, let me answer first about cholesterol. Vitamin C and sugar are both involved in determining the level of cholesterol, more than fat. Cutting down the intake of sugar decreases serum cholesterol. Increasing vitamin C not only decreases total cholesterol, it decreases the LDL cholesterol and increases the HDL, which is the beneficial form of this lipoprotein, and it decreases triglycerides in the blood. So vitamin C is very important, along with decreasing the intake of sugar, which is the most important general dietary recommendation that I make. Now, as to other vitamins, I think the best idea of what I think at the present time the optimum intake of vitamins is what I myself take. 18 grams of vitamin C per day. Well, cancer patients should take more.
As much as the bowels will take.
As much as bowels will take.
Okay.
And of course, some very seriously ill patients might be given intravenous ascorbate. It might control, it might conquer the disease. Then I take a Super B tablet a day, and this gives me 25 times the amounts of the RDAs of the different B vitamins. That is, my one Super B is equal to 25 ordinary B complex tablets. I take 40,000 IU of vitamin A. That's only 10 times. With the B vitamins, it's 25 times RDA. With the vitamin A, 10 times. I take 800 IU of vitamin E, which is 80 times the present RDA.
RDA meaning recommended daily allowance.
That's right.
Yes.
And at the present time, I'm taking an extra 60 milligram tablet of zinc.
Why?
Well, I've been reading about it, and the evidence that increased intake of zinc more than the 15 milligrams that's recommended is beneficial,
So
seems to me to be good.
Who is the Dr. Pauling of zinc?
Well, his name has slipped my mind.
Okay.
You know, when you get to be 84 years old, as you'll find when you get to that age, you have more trouble remembering things. You aren't able to talk so well. And,
I just wonder how many people who are 24 wouldn't mind swapping a few ideas with how to be healthy with somebody who's 84 right now.
sometimes I take selenium, some selenium yeast.
Never too late then to start with this
But
stuff.
at the present time, I'm just taking those 5 tablets,
Yeah.
plus some extra pyridoxine. I happen to be in the middle of a pyridoxine experiment on myself.
Thank you, Dr. Linus Pauling, for being with us again and for being so great. Thank you very much.
Pleasure for me.
Well, I can't tell you how we feel. It's time for our mailbag. I'll be back to you in a second. We get lots of interesting mail on this program, and each week I'll read portions of some of your letters. If your letter's read on the show, we'll send you a book, and next week it'll be from Prentice Hall Publishers. And all of tonight's mailbag letters are about our program last week with Hans Küng, the theologian and priest, first from Mrs. D.C. in St. Leonard, Quebec. As a Roman Catholic, I was very pleased by what Dr. Küng had to say. He voiced what many Roman Catholics around the world feel and what they would like to hear from their own parish priests and higher church officials. Since Catholicism has the toughest rules, it does not necessarily mean that Roman Catholics who disobey these church rules are bad Christians, or that they believe less in God, yet they're being punished by the higher monarchy of the church. I find this to be truly unjust and uncaring from a church which teaches that God's mercy knows no limits and that he is all-forgiving. C.H. in Windsor. I envy those whose faith is so strong and so simple that they do not doubt, yet I find that it is in the doubters who confront their doubts that the true vitality of religious faith resides. Criticism of Dr. Küng from Mrs. I.T. in Brampton. Religion should be concerned with our spiritual needs, and spirituality is sadly lacking in our self-gratifying materialistic society. We seek pleasure without wanting to pay our dues. In my heart, I know that the Pope is right in refusing his approval of moral standards being reduced to a lower common denominator. As for women who aspire to the priesthood, let us examine whether their motives spring from a truly Christian desire to serve or from the now prevailing trend to self-fulfillment. Mr. B.J.P. in Mississauga, I'm completely baffled as to why a person of Dr. Kung's intellectual stature does not dissociate himself from the institution with which he so vehemently disagrees. And a letter from Mrs. B.B.B. in Peterborough, who wrote that she was hoping to get a copy of the mailbag book by Dr. Kung so that she could give some small speeches when controversial kids come home to visit. Well, she's going to get a copy of the book. I believe Dr. Kung said it all, she says, when he said, believe in Jesus Christ and hang in. That's what most of us everyday Catholics do. I believe in my right to practice birth control if it were relevant for my age, in divorce where necessary, in the right for priests to marry, and for women to minister in the Catholic Church. And I say this all with a clear and knowing and practicing Catholic conscience. In the end, I try to do what's right for me and hope it fits into the context of our Church's teaching. In the end, I must say, my Maker knows more about me than the Catholic Church. Thank God. And finally, from Ms. H.M. in Aurelia. Thank God for people, especially priests like Dr. Kung, who speak out for the good of all. When the Church becomes equal to all, male and female, it will be truly Catholic. And that's our mailbag for this week. Please write to us. Your letters are a big help. We do appreciate knowing what you think. We also have transcripts of our programs available for all Speaking Out shows. If you would like a copy, transcript, we would appreciate it if you'd send us $2. It helps us to cover some of the costs. It helps. Our address is Speaking Out, TV Ontario, TVO, Post Office Box 200, Station Q, Toronto, M4T 2T1. You can phone us during business hours, area code 416. The number is 484-2600. Again, I'd like to thank our guest, Dr. Linus Pauling. I think it's a tribute to you, sir, that we get vigorous phone calls, inquiring, good questions,
yes.
Probing questions.
Yes.
And that I'm sure that they'll be writing us tomorrow and say, well, you have to have them back again. So next year, you will be celebrating your 85th in February. Happy birthday in advance. Well, we'll see you next fall. Will you put us in our schedule?
Very well.
Again, our telephone question is, our statement is, more cancer research money should be spent on prevention and nutrition research. You can agree by calling 870-9173, disagree by calling 870-9174, area code 416. Our telephone results at the moment show that 1,136 of you agree with the statement, 57 of you disagree. We'll keep the lines open all night. If you try to phone in and find that the lines are busy, wait for a few minutes and then try again. Next week, we move into an issue which is both political and religious. We'll look at secular humanism. Is it the way of the future? Does organized religion still offer enough to enough people? My guests will be Paul Kurtz, President of the American Humanist Association, and Brian Stiller, Executive Director of the Evangelical Fellowship of Canada. I hope that you'll join us then. Good night. This is Harry Brown again. I hope you enjoyed this repeat broadcast, part of our summer rerun schedule. Transcripts are available for $2. To order a transcript, or if you'd like a free copy of our summer rerun schedule, write to us at TV Ontario, Box 200, Station Q, Toronto, M4T 2T1. Tune in again next Thursday at 9 p.m. for the best of Speaking Out.